And good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Here we are Tuesday morning, December the 15th, 2015. Boy, where has this year gone? Wow. Anyway, again, welcome back. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. This is what I call my morning musings. We are in the midst of just a fantastic study of the eschatology of the parables of Jesus. In Jesus' parables, Jesus gives us some teaching about eschatology that destroys all futurist eschatologies. One of those teachings is about martyr vindication. I've already shared with you Matthew 21, Matthew 22, and in Luke chapter 18, in the parable of the widow who kept going to the judge and saying, "Avenge me on my adversary," Jesus said, "Will not God avenge His elect who cry out to Him day and night? Yes, verily, He will avenge them speedily." Now we're going to look at the language. We're going to look at the linguistics of that text in another segment because it's extremely powerful and it's absolutely undeniable. But I'm sharing with you now, and have been over the last few segments, of how pervasive this doctrine and this theme of the vindication of the martyrs is in regard to the coming of the Lord. And it's almost unbelievable to me when you go to the commentators and you go to the literature and you see them give lip service to the doctrine of the vindication of the martyrs, for instance, in Matthew 23, or even Luke chapter 18. But they come to the epistles, and it's almost as if they begin to think, well, in the epistles, it's a different issue. Or if it's Paul talking about it, it's not the same as Jesus. That's completely and totally untenable. I want to share with you this morning from Hebrews chapter 10. Now remember, in the last segment, in the last video, I shared with you Romans chapter 8, where Paul said, "I reckon that the sufferings of this time," and the word suffering there is from the Greek word pathemata. It is not the regular, ordinary human existence. All right? That is critical. Paul is talking about the persecution that they were undergoing right then, right there, at that time. Okay? Look at Hebrews chapter 10. We will begin reading verse 32. "Recall the former days in which after you were enlightened, you endured a great struggle with sufferings." Now he uses pathemata and thalipsis in this verse. Pathemata, same word, Romans 8. Thalipsis is the normal New Testament word used 45 times, and only a few occasions does it not refer to the pressure of persecution for the cause of Christ. So here, the author combines two words, pathemata and thalipsis. And he says, after you were converted, you endured those things. Now watch this. "Partly while you were made a spectacle, both by reproaches and tribulations," thalipsis, "and partly while you became companions of those who were likewise treated." Now watch this. "You had compassion on me in my chains, and joyfully accepted the plundering of your goods, knowing that you have a better and an enduring possession in heaven. Therefore, do not cast away your confidence, which has great reward, for you have need of endurance, so that after you have done the will of God, you may receive the promise." The promise of what? The better and the enduring substance. Now watch this. "For," the connective particle that ties this verse, verse 37, with everything that is just said. You've suffered, pathemata. You have been persecuted, thalipsis. But you need to be patient because you have a great reward in heaven. So hang on, for yet in a little while. The one who is coming will come and will not tarry. Oh, wait a minute. That doesn't even catch the force of it. It's not simply a little while. The Greek of the text is mikron, hoson, hoson. A little, how little. This is incredibly powerful. The writer is expressing the fact that the coming of Christ, the time of the great reward, the time of the heavenly reward, was coming in a very, very little while, and he says he will not tarry. He will not delay. So, what do we have? Just like Jesus said in his parabolic teaching, that his followers were going to suffer persecution. And the martyrs, through the ages, were crying out, "How long, O Lord?" Will God not avenge his elect? Yes, he will avenge them speedily. And now here's the writer of Hebrews writing later in that very generation. And remember what Jesus said. All of the blood of all of the righteous, all the way back to creation, would be judged in his generation. Here is Hebrews 10. Speaking of the avenging of the blood, the avenging of the martyrdom of the Hebrew saints, and he says, in a very, very little while, the one who is coming will come, and he will not delay. Folks, this time of great reward is the salvation of Hebrews 9:28, the, quote, second coming of Jesus Christ for salvation. And here is the affirmation of the avenging of the blood of the martyrs at the coming of the Lord. The, quote, second coming of the Lord in the first century. Wow. Yeah, I'm telling you, you really need to get a copy of my book, We Shall Meet Him in the Air, The Wedding of the King of Kings, in which I discuss this and go into great detail in it. Go to my website, eschatology.org or bibleprophecy.com. Order the book. Send me a note that says you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll refund your shipping, and I will include, free of charge, a paper, the presentation of the audio of the paper I presented at Criswell College in Dallas, Texas, 2012, on Martyr Vindication and the Millennium. You really, really need to get a copy of this material. You'll be glad you did. We've got more. You really don't want to miss it. We'll see you on the flip side.